So the question is if I ever really liked C++. And the truth is, I obsessed. I got to tell you about my C++ story really quickly, probably under 5 minutes. Uh, People know me like in the middle of 2020. Don't mind the chat. They're just picking up questions and stuff and like hi momming everybody. But I got to tell you, I was a big C++ fan because I drank the Flavor Aid. I understand was the brand that killed everybody in Guyana in the 90s, which was also when Guyana happened, and object-oriented programming, which are not too far from each other in terribleness. I'm sorry to the victims of that. I didn't mean to offend you. Seriously, object-oriented programming is one of the worst things that ever happened to our world. And Brian Cantrell agrees. You can actually watch the wonderful little... I'm actually going to... I need to clip that video from him about object-oriented programming. It was a darkness came across the land, is his words. And so I bought into the C++ idea. Objective-C was going on at the same time. Mac made that really popular. And I had learned C. Before that. And so when I came to C++, first of all, the standard template library hadn't even been a thing. STL was a brand new thing. And so I was trying to get my head around it. And the first time I saw like out with the redirect arrows and stuff like that, it was like this whole C++ streams thing. I mean, I was okay with single inheritance. I was just really obsessed. I really, really, really bought into inheritance object-oriented programming, which is like the devil. It's also the basis of Java. And Java is horrible. I mean, Java is horrible on so many levels. It took people coming in and creating solid principles in order to actually make Java a useful language. We all learned this lesson the hard way. This isn't any news to people who have done it. It's around because it had a $500,000 marketing budget, biggest of any language ever launched. Back when Sun Microsystems was doing it and everything. C++ didn't have that kind of budget, but it had the notoriety of C behind it. And, you know, there were a lot of people that tried to do an operating system in C++, and Apple have failed miserably. In fact, anything major that was done in C++ failed miserably over the first time. There was a thing called Taligent, which Brian Ketchell talks about, which, by the way, is a portmanteau of talented and intelligent. No, it failed miserably. It was the worst of Apple and IBM combined. And it was so C++ failed for many, many, many purposes. And it was overly complex. I was like, why does this need to be this way? People, you know, it still had all the problems with abstraction and you know, macros and inefficient compilation. And you know, I was just like, why can't we just write the whole thing in C? I mean, if they can write the whole fucking Linux kernel, I'm sorry, oops, I'm not supposed to swear on YouTube videos. But if they can write the whole kernel in C, why not? Why should we do anything in C++? Well, it turns out that there is a lot of good reasons to use C++. And I personally can get totally behind using C++ for game programming, for example. I've heard actual game developers do not use object-oriented programming at all in C when they do C++. They use data structures, and they keep the data very separate from behavior, and so they end up doing a lot of functional programming to win efficiencies within game development. I had somebody correct me the other day when I suggested C++ by nature might be better for game programming because of the nature of the objects moving around and stuff. And like, no, you don't understand. There's no way those things can carry around what they need to do. They're all just like super lightweight data, and then there's handlers handling, you know, watching the whole thing. So that would have torpedoed my other reasons to use C++. Now, I have not used any modern C++. It's changed a lot. Some people say for the better, some people say for the worst. I'm not inclined to use C++ at all because, I mean, Go was built to replace C++, Python, and Java. Those are Pike's own words at Google. That's exactly why it was created. I think Rust tried to take a stab at replacing C++, and it might still have some sort of thing there, but I don't think it's going to work because C++ is just too freaking big. It's got such a huge code base. They've already covered so many problems that it's no reason to rewrite everything all over again. And just, you know, use the tools that we have to deal with the problems that we know about. That's what I think should be done. Rust has a little bit of overlap in C, and I really think the C just should be used there rather than Rust, and so does Linus Torvalds and billions of other people. So that's my take on the OOP thing. So that's all I have to say about that. So I don't have as strong an opinion against it. I will never code C++. I have no desire to do it. There's no target application that I would ever want to make with C++ of any kind. The last time I was tempted to learn C++ was I was going to start writing code for Unreal Engine, and I thought, well, maybe that's a way to do that. We can make our own plugins for that. And if you're going to do game development or something like that, obviously you need to learn C++. Personally, I think you should. First of all, if you're going to get into game development and you're going to get into AAA game development, you're going to learn C++. You're going to be writing all this stuff. I wouldn't even go into that industry because you're going to die. You're going to die by 30 because they're going to overwork you to death, like they did at Bethesda and every place else. So I don't want to have the jobs where they would have you code in C++ 24 hours a day, all day until they get their stuff out. I would rather learn C#, which I learned somewhat, and do independent game development, and then learn Kubernetes or something like that, and make my 100 to 200K a year, and then make games on the side for fun. And then and for that, there's no better language than C#. C#, hands down, is the best indie game developer language because Unity and all the stuff in that ecosystem. So, in my opinion, that's my current take. I don't see a relevant application of C++ for anything other than code bases that are already written in C++. If I'm starting a new project, it would be in C, Go, Python, if I had to, data science or whatever. Of course, Bash, but those aren't real project languages. Or I do, like a web language, but I would never, ever knowingly embark in a C++. Now, there are a lot of people who have need to write C++ who would be able to better. Or Strager comes to mind. He does C++ a lot, and he's a great coder. And so I'm not putting any of them down. I just don't have any desire to do it. That was pretty long. Oh well.